Welcome to Felcraft. I am not quite started yet. Hey, welcome to Felcraft. I'm Hammy. Hope you're all in good, and we are going to be jumping into our second little first look, first initial impressions, quick analysis of the Grand Tournament. Now, the Grand Tournament is, of course, Hearthstone's expansion, announced only yesterday, 22nd of July, 2015, and it is themed around a future for the Argent Tournament in the World of Warcraft world. So we will see pirates on top of their parrot steeds. We will see clockwork knights. We will see murlocs riding murloc steeds into battle with jousting and all kinds of general craziness. But there are two key themes, and as we jump on in, we're going to be trying to move off that particular image with this mysterious black background. The reason for jumping on in like this is because there are 5 newish cards. A couple of them were from the stream yesterday that weren't covered in our other video. If you've not seen all of the announced news, look at this video that I'm linking at the top now, because that is going to have the first, I think, 12 or so cards in, so we'll add these on top too. So 2 new cards were introduced. Now, before I jump in, 2 new themes. One, the Grand Tournament expansion is going to play around with hero powers, changing them, cards that change hero powers in various ways. New mechanic. Number 2, there are also going to be new Inspire cards. Now, Inspire cards are triggered when your hero power is played. So if a card has Inspire, that effect that is labeled Inspire will activate every single time you play your hero power. So the more you play your hero power, the more the Inspire effect triggers, the more something happens, whether that be beneficial or not so good. And a big evening to Ceasedge and everyone else joining us live on stream, twitch.tv/FelcraftCast. So with that in mind as background, let's jump into our first card that turned up today. Now, the card art is subject to change, but there was a Korean official Play Hearthstone stream, and this card showed up. So bear in mind, the art could change. We're not 100% sure whether this, for example, is a Paladin-only card. It may well be the case because this is a bit of a mock-up. But these cards did, according to Hearthpwn and some other sites, show up. So we have the Silver Hand Regent as card number 1 that we're going to be having a look, and we're also going to be taking a look at Garrison Commander. So let's jump into these. So these were on the official Korean stream. Silver Hand Regent, 3 mana, 3 attack, 3 health. For us, that's a solid minion. We talk about this concept of solid minions where they have strong stats, pretty balanced stats, and then their hero text, the text on the card or the minion, is nothing too negative. So in this case, the Silver Hand Regent is a solid minion in itself. Now, Inspire, the new ability we're talking about, whenever you play your hero power, this card will summon a 1/1 Silver Hand Recruit. Now, that feels like it's a Paladin card. There was a little bit of back and forth because this is a mock-up based off the text and there's been a translation from Korean. We've not actually seen this out of the English-speaking Hearthstone channels yet. But Silver Hand Regent looks very Paladin-y. I would not be surprised if this turns out to be a Paladin class only card. Having a look at that, you can already start thinking of the synergy of this card. This is nice. If you think about a Paladin starting hand, mid-range Paladins at the moment go for things like the Shielded Minibot. You might muster for battle on turn 3, but muster for battle gives you those 3 Silver Hand Recruits and then your 1 attack for durability Light's Justice weapon. This can give you a nice position. You could then either muster for battle or you can play your hero power the next turn, start summoning in those heroes in terms of the Silver Hand Recruits, and then you're setting yourself up for that Quartermaster on turn 5. Remember, Quartermaster, of course, buffs all Silver Hand Recruits by +2/+2. So Silver Hand Regent feels that it could work very, very nicely when it comes to filling your table with Silver Hand Recruits. Maybe a bit of a different Paladin style. Silver Hand Recruits, of course, have been used with Knife Jugglers, the muster for battle with Knife Juggler. It feels quite Paladin-y to us. So let's see if it turns out to be a Paladin-only card, but Silver Hand Regent apparently announced on the Korean stream, and we'll see just how this text works and whether it's a Paladin or not card in the coming weeks. Remember, of course, that the Grand Tournament expansion is releasing next month. We don't know when, but it's going to be in August. So next month could be the beginning, could be the end. I think we can probably get an idea from how quickly Blizzard announce cards. If they announce a huge amount in a short period of time, maybe it's sooner. If it's slower and more regular, maybe it's towards the end of August. Second card that apparently was on the Korean stream and has been translated was Garrison Commander. And if we take a look at Garrison Commander, you can use your hero power twice on your turn. There is a card, of course, that's been announced that I believe says you can use your hero power as many times as you like. I'd have to go back and check which one that was. So the other card is more expensive than I just mentioned. Garrison Commander for 2 mana, 2 attack and 3 health. Again, a solid minion. When we talk about solid minions, this is a such one. And hey, being able to use your hero power twice, you can throw down this Garrison Commander relatively quickly in the early game because of its 2 mana cost, and then start throwing out your hero power twice from turn 3. Now, of course, hero powers being 2 mana, very, very sort of restrictive there, but of course there are other cards that we can come back to, and if I can remember them, then we can take a little look. Let me just run down and see how that could potentially work in terms of some combos. Card list. Do forgive me for my slight forgetfulness. Koldara Drake, of course, that was the mage only card, so that's only a mage only. Maybe instead of Koldara Drake, because mages for 6 mana can have a Drake that does 6 attack and has 6 health. You can use your hero power any number of times, but that's mage only. So for any other class, if this is a neutral minion, Garrison Commander means you can use your hero power twice on your turn. Very, very cool indeed. And then there's also Maiden of the Lake, which I'm just going to bring up. We already covered this card, but in case you guys haven't seen it, very, very cool indeed. And if we grab the Maiden of the Lake, whoa, that's big. But you can see that if I just move my face temporarily, your hero power costs 1. So if I play a Garrison Commander and then I drop a Maiden of the Lake, 2 attack, 6 health, that's going to stay on the table. And you know what? Not only can I use my hero power twice on my turn, but my hero power costs a mere 1 mana. Very nice indeed. So you can see how these hero power cards are trying to come together. Big welcome to Gunjack and hello T. Good to see you all live on stream. Any questions you have, just let us know. CSage says, using your hero power as many times was that the Mage Dragon, the Koldara Drake. You're absolutely right. If I'd read the chat rather than dive through my list, it would have been a lot quicker. I shall trust you folks and read the chat a lot more in future. So that is Garrison Commander. Pretty solid card. Interesting to see how that's fitting together with everything else. Let's jump into card 3 of the 5 we're just going to be quickly running through today. Poison Blade. So this is Rogue. It's part of the background, I think. Your hero power gives this weapon +1 attack instead of replacing it. So that's obviously the Rogue's dagger hero power, where you're summoning that 1 attack to durability dagger. So for 4, this feels slightly wishy-washy. However, when you start thinking about this a bit more, at that 4 kind of slot for a rogue, if you're playing weapons-based, what kind of stuff are you throwing down? It could be okay in terms of smoothing out your mana curve, actually allowing you to continue playing on tempo, on curve, making sure that you can keep plays going. And then actually your hero power giving that weapon more attack instead of replacing it is not too bad indeed. If you can buff up your durability, if you can get yourself ready for something like, let's not forget Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil still exists and is very nasty indeed. So giving this weapon 1 attack instead of replacing it gives you a blade that you can then use to perhaps pick through minions, work against aggro. It's not a bad weapon. And don't forget, of course, Blade Flurry. Similar such things that you can use to combo Poison Blade with Blade Flurry, and maybe using your hero power as a rogue. Give that maybe 2 attack, maybe 3 attack. You can suddenly start sweeping through aggro and perhaps using it to soften your opponent's board. So could be some interesting uses there. Let's see how that one works out for Rogue. And of course, remember, this is an early first impressions. There's 130, at least 130, I think it's 132 or 133 cards in this expansion. So only when we can see all of the cards together can we get some kind of idea as to how decks, meta, and all of these kind of things are going to play out. But it'll be interesting to see that. Last but not least, this was actually one from yesterday on the stream, like the Poison Blade, I do believe that we missed, and it's a little fun one. In fact, we've got one more card after this, which is very, very cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's the one that Blizzard have announced today on their blog, but I'm not going to give it away straight away. So, Ball of Spiders. For a Hunter, 6 mana, and you can summon 3 1/1 web spinners. Now, in line with another card that we saw. Now, the Hunter actually yesterday, and I know we've already covered this in our other video, linked at the top. If you've not seen the first 10 cards from the stream, you should go and check that out. But the Hunter spell of... Whoop! Can I bring that to the top? I'm just going to shift things around a little bit. You're going to have to forgive me. There is Lock and Load. Let's move my face to somewhere a little bit less in the way. So Lock and Load for the Hunter. Each time you cast a spell this turn, add a random Hunter card to your hand. Beg your pardon. The Hunter card in your hand could be anything. And lock and load, if you look at this, if you play it and then you start playing spells afterwards, it's a way for a hunter to start refilling your hand. If you've been aggressive in the early to mid game, then lock and load can start doing that for you. Now, if we then take a look at Ball of Spiders in that context, summoning 3/1 web spinners also for that 6 mana cost means that you can actually also kind of throw those on the table. You can attack with the web spinners. If they die, regardless, you're going to start getting beasts. So Hunter seems to have kind of got, with that lock and load card and then Ball of Spiders, this kind of slight recharge. It almost feels like, and let's see what other Hunter cards come out. You can sort of throw stuff in your opponent's face, and you can almost sort of recharge a little bit. Now, lock and load is random. Hunter cards could be spells, could be terrible beasts, could be minions. Hunter only cards, of course. They're not going to be any other sort of cards. They have to be from the Hunter stable, as it were. Hunter class cards only, I'm assuming. Ball of Spiders, summoning 3/1/1 web spinners. That kind of gives you a recharge too, because you can actually start then sacrificing those web spinners, getting new beasts, and perhaps pushing forward. So, 2 different ways for a hunter who's maybe aggressive in the early to mid game. I'm not talking face hunter only, but perhaps a way of recharging a bit in the late game. Be interesting to see if mid-range hunters get a little bit of additional recharge to push through, or maybe people try and take a face hunter and adapt it slightly so that they have this late game recharge if they need. And remember the Core Rager from Blackrock Mountain, that also felt quite mid-range as well. So says, or when people use it against me, it's going to be 50% kill commands, 50% Savannah High mains. There's of course going to be a chance that lock and load causes all kind of nuts and carnage. Righty, so let's go to the last card. If you folks, welcome by the way, if you're not signed into Twitch either, if you folks have got any other cards you'd like us to take a look at from yesterday, or you didn't see the cards from the announcement yesterday, we can do a quick charge through them at the end. This will be a little bit of a shorter stream this evening, and indeed a little bit of a shorter video if you're on YouTube. But let's get to the last but not least. Now I want to go nuts with this one. So crazy that it's just overtaken my face. Can't even see my face anymore. Some might say that's not a bad thing. But let's jump on in, and I'm going to clean up this screen so we can really appreciate the card that Blizzard have announced today. Now, as we've said before, hero powers are very much a thing of this expansion. Tweaking hero powers, finding new things you can do with it. And look at Justicar Trueheart. With that lance that looks slightly explosive tipped. Battle cry, replace your starting hero power with a better one. Now, there's probably one question that's totally on the top of your heads, and it's, what is a better hero power? What is that? Define better for me, Justicar Trueheart. How are you going to make my hero power better? Now, before we go into the juicy bit of this, it has been confirmed by CM Wharton over on Twitter, so it's Hearthstone officialness. This only changes base hero powers. If you have modified your hero power already, then this battle cry is not apparently going to do anything. I believe that's been put out over on Twitter. So remember that there are cards in this expansion that we've already seen that change hero powers. They may make them cost 1 mana. They may mean that you can play them twice in 1 turn. Have to double check on that. But this will not count if your hero power has already been tweaked. So bear that in mind. Bear that in mind when we see the craziness. We'll just do the card analysis on a top level before we take a look at that better hero power piece, because Blizzard have defined what better hero power is going to mean. 6 mana, expensive. 6 attack, fine in the balance. You see the 3 health, and then this follows the kind of Blizzard card balance of, we can't make this card too solid. We were talking about our solid minions earlier. We can't make it too solid, so we need to give it a downside. And the downside is, of course, that lower health that is not going to be so funky indeed. But replacing your starting hero power with a better one. What is a better hero power? Well, it certainly is better. Very much looking forward to. Let me just find my my next image. Justicar 2 comes up. Gonna lose my face again. Again, don't worry about that. We will restore on normal service in just a second. Oh, no, we're going to keep my face out of the way. But there are your better hero powers, and have a look at those. Heal, restores 4 health. Poison Daggers equips a 2/2 weapon. Note that that's 2/2, it just increases the attack by 1, rather than anything too crazy. Totemic Slam, I very much like the look of this, and Shaman have got some really cool things. some of the Shaman cards are pretty cool, and I like this. Summoning a totem of your choice is very, very powerful. I like that for Shaman. A lot of the time the randomness of Shaman totems can kind of hurt you. I can pull in Stoneclaw totems, for example. I can make sure that I'm walled off and that my opponents aren't going to be able to do anything too funky to me. Very much like that. Very cool indeed. For example, Soul Tap, hero power, just drawing a card. Now, Gunjack in chat, welcome Gunjack, says for hand dock it should be 2 cards instead of no damage. Interesting thought, Gunjack. I'm thinking that the no damage is sort of just a straight card draw. 2 cards would be an immensely powerful, or say they went draw a card and take more damage, doing a bigger life tap, for example. The card draw is very powerful, and I think that if you increase the amount of cards, and if say for example you increase the amount of damage that was done, then you might find people only too happy to pay the price, as it were, to pay the iron price. A little bit Game of Thronesy there, but paying that iron price and sort of being able to take the additional damage to draw the additional cards, very, very powerful. So I'm not too surprised that's drawing a card for no damage rather than being able to draw more cards for more damage, because that could kind of feel quite powerful. Warrior power, tank up, gaining 4 armor, liking that indeed. The Silver Hand, 2 1/1 recruits, again very much liking that indeed. Fire Blast rank 2, very much in line with the mage kind of spell tradition in World of Warcraft there, when you're naming your spells, dealing 2 damage. Ballista Shot, 3 damage to the enemy hero. Right, and then Dire Shapeshift for our druid friends there, getting 2 armor and 2 attack for this turn only. Welcome Rajanorg on stream. Rajanorg asks the $20 million question. Which class will use this the most often? So it's going to be an interesting choice. I think with this hero power focus, let's have a think. We have yet to see obviously a huge amount of the cards, but who's going to use this most often? Who is going to use this Justicar? Replacing it with a better one. Now, with the whole hero power concept in general, you've got to have a think about who uses hero powers a lot anyway. If you use hero powers a lot anyway in your deck, if the meta game stays the same, and of course it's not going to, the mix of cards, the mix of decks will change. A lot of this seems to encourage using hero powers more often, and if you use your hero power at the moment in your deck a fair amount, if you can find a way of integrating these great tournament cards into your deck, then you're going to have more options. You're going to have more tech options, more ways of tweaking, making new decks, because you're quite happy to use your hero power anyway, and therefore anything that makes your hero power better is well worth considering. Justicar Trueheart is quite splashable. She is designed as a card that you almost fire and forget. Which of these could benefit most? Heal is very powerful in keeping tanks alive and a bunch of stuff. Dire Shapeshift is good for if you can buff it up a bit harder. I've always felt that Claw is okay for like sort of nibbling away at people. Dire Shapeshift, if it was 3 attack, it would be just that mite too powerful, because you could be clearing aggro minions with it left, right and centre. Pretty solid. Ballista Shot, I think yes, hunters will be quite tempted for this. It's kind of a finisher if you think about it. At that stage, you can throw it down if you're sort of struggling, or if the late game you just need that extra bit of damage. If you've not managed to do that damage mid range, I can see hunters trying this out. Face hunters, I can see this trying to sort of sort it out. Removal for 6 mana that deals 4 damage and gives you minion. Gunjack PL is thinking, well, what about the Organized Soul Priest? What about using heal to deal 4 damage for 2 mana? Very nice, very nice. Priests, I think, as Gunjack has highlighted, and as indeed was highlighted in the Blizzard blog also, will get some great mileage out of that. Potentially this Justicar, which could be very cool indeed. I think Fire Blast is okay, but it's not fantastic unless you combo it with some of the other mage cards, which I'm sure people will try and do. The Silver Hand, I think Paladins will get some good use out of this. Summoning 2 1/1 recruits, excellent. If I have Knife Jugglers down, if I have Quartermasters, if I'm using the card that we had a look at just that little bit earlier, if I'm trying to get that Silver Hand Regent in play, and if that's Paladin only, which let's face it, it may well be. If I'm using Silver Hand Regent, if I then use the Silver Hand, it summons 2 1/1 recruits, and then I summon another 1/1 recruit, and then I Quartermaster. Yeah, you can just see crazy Quartermasterness, I can't even speak anymore. Quartermasterness going down with that particular card. So I can see some real fun combos options potentially there. Ragnarok says Control Warrior and Rogue. I think you have an excellent point there. So, Control Warriors use the hero power a lot. We've said who uses the hero power a lot? Hunters do, yeah, absolutely. Paladins do, yeah, they're going to benefit. Control Warriors, 100%. The amount of times that you will armor up if there's nothing else going on. Sure is. We just need confirmations on this. Dark Vitality, welcome. Dark Vitality asks the question, is this real? This is absolutely real. This is a card called Justicar Trueheart, who replaces your starting hero power with a better one. And these are the better hero powers. It's on the Blizzard blog. It's got to be real. It's not April the 1st. But yeah, I agree with you there, Dark Vitality. When I first had a look at it, I was like, what's going on? Absolutely crazy. Is this the new card? It is one of the 2 new cards. There's potentially another new card that's going to be released today. If it is released today, we will try and add it to our next card video. But yes, so going on with Ragnarok's excellent question, we've said, right, I think that Hunters are going to get used. I think that Paladins certainly are going to get used. We thought of the Quartermaster combos. Our friend Ganjak has said, what about Heal? What about Organized Soul Priest? Yes, absolutely. There's going to be some great stuff there. Fine combo for Priests. Lots of removal, dealing damage, giving you minions. Loads of fun stuff. Ragnarok has also said Control Warrior, and I said yes, absolutely. The amount of times you armor up in a Control Warrior, as we were saying, very, very common thing to, if in doubt, armor up. Use that 2 mana. If it gives you 4, would I drop a Justicar in a Control Warrior just for that? I might splash it in different forms of Warrior. I'd certainly try it out. But Control Warrior's deck list is quite tight. I think it will see play, but I'm not sure if I'd do it just for that. I'd probably need to see how the meta changes. Maybe when the meta changes, it will make a bit more sense. Will Warlocks run this? They might. Maybe. But by the time I've hit turn 6 with a Warlock, I think I would have quite happily life tapped anyway and taken that damage, because there's so many ways with a handlock I can heal up. So I'm not sure how much, your sort of Warlock is going to run this, unless there's ways that I can buff and protect this. With some of these decks, it feels worth it. Potentially, like I can see Hunter situations, I can see Silver Hand situations where I could splash one of these in. Let's Jury's out on Warlock, maybe. Totemic Slam, 200%. Absolutely 200%. I can totally see Shamans running this. Summoning hero totems of your choice in the late game. And if you have a look at some of the other Shaman cards that have come in, being able to pick totems and get totems out, it feels as though there's a real push towards totems and Shaman focused minions. They've announced quite a lot of Shaman cards and they all look good, so I can see this dropping into a Shaman deck with a totem focus and perhaps Bloodlust as well. Lots of fun. Poison Daggers, Ragnarok said playing Rogue decks. Yep, I can see Rogues running this. A 2/2 weapon, that little bit of extra damage. Tinker Sharp Sword, I could see it being splashed in. Paladins could also bubble this as well. Very much like that Paladin mech from Goblins vs. Gnomes that I temporarily forget. But things that you can re-bubble, or you can bubble. If you can keep that alive, it's pretty effective 6 damage if you can somehow protect that for a turn. And then, as we've said, Priests. Absolutely, absolutely. I can see some fun to be had with healing for 4 and restoring or even damaging for 4 with the Organized Soul Priest on the table. So, that is it for today's little card roundup. We have taken a look at sort of another 5 or so cards. Some of these were from the stream yesterday. The Justicar herself was from today, and that brings our set of cards roundup up to, I believe it's 18 cards or so that have been announced at this point in time. So we've taken a look at the Silver Hand Regent, wondered whether it's Paladin only. That was from a Korean stream, needs confirmation by Blizzard in translating, but it was an official Hearthstone Korean stream. Ditto for Garrison Commander. The Koldara Drake was mage only, but of course this can be used pretty much anything so far. Poison Blade for Rogues, the Ball of Spiders for our Hunters, and then Justicar Trueheart, a new legendary that looks as though it could have lots of fun applications, as we took a look at with all of those other cards there. So thank you so much for tuning in. We have seen a whole bunch of fun cards being announced so far, and we will try and keep updating videos as much as we can. So do come and join us some other time. If you're live on stream, we'll have a chat through these cards. Do not go away. If you've joined us on YouTube, come join us another time. You can see all of the summary of the announcements for Grand Tournament so far from Blizzard's stream. If you take a look in the top left, the first 10 or so cards have been covered there. There's loads of Shaman cards, some really fun stuff. Look in the middle at the top here. If you're on YouTube, you can see all of our other Hearthstone content. We do 2-minute deck guides, pick your own arenas, Hearthstone news like this and a lot more. Go have a look at that. And then if you like it, subscribe or check out the channel in the top right. Not only do we try and do daily Hearthstone, but we also do Heroes of the Storm, other Blizzard games, and some unboxings, loads of other fun stuff too. And thanks very much for tuning in. We will be doing more videos and streams covering more Hearthstone and Grand Tournament cards as we go, having first impressions of them, what we have today, and then also doing a big roundup at the end of all 130 cards and starting to think about decks. We're going to start trying to theory craft some decks as we go, so have a look at and stay tuned for those as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're on stream, don't go away, we'll have a quick chat with you and chat through the cards afterwards. Otherwise, hopefully see you on a video or something soon. This is Felcraft and I've been Hammy. Take it easy. Do subscribe, like, comment if you're on YouTube. Do, of course, let us know what we could do more of and what you think we could improve. Really good to hear from you. Goodbye.